This is the most sexy thing a man can do. The full, embodied, can't be faked presence is going to be the hottest thing ever, and a brat will submit to that.
What if the conversations we've been taught to avoid about sex, desire, and our bodies are actually the ones that set us free? Welcome to Sex Ritual Radio. I'm your host, Rose Heartsong. This is the show where sexuality, spirituality, and vital health meet, and where we explore the conversations most people consider oh so taboo. Each week, I sit down with fascinating voices exploring intimacy, relationships, healing, and human potential. Let's dive in.
This is Sex Ritual Radio. We talk a lot about sexuality, spirituality, holistic health, and anything taboo. And we like to take apart the taboo and help people understand it so it's not so taboo and it's something that maybe you're interested in trying. I am not saying that anything that I talk about or share on this episode is a must, that you should do it. I am just giving you a behind the scenes opportunity at something different, looking at life different. I'm a sex coach. I like to challenge the taboo. I like to have taboo conversations, and I like to explore. I like to help us get away from that fear and shit breakdown when it comes to sex and sexuality. I want us to feel comfortable with it. I want us to be able to have conversations, know what we want, know what we don't want, be clear, use our strong no's, use our strong yeses, and be honest with ourselves about that. So today we're talking about brats. You guys can disagree with me. I'm so okay with that. It's all good. And I also believe that every single person on the planet has a little tiny bit of brat inside of them. So what is it? What is a brat? I'm a brat. You're a brat. We're all a brat. We all have different levels. So I'm not the thesis is today we're going to name it, understand it, and stop treating it like a problem. That's the main thing. A lot of times in the world in general, even in the world of kink and BDSM, brats are seen as a challenge. So even in the more advanced dynamics of kink and BDSM, which is not what we're talking about tonight, but if we're in that realm, this is a challenge. So this is the most challenging aspects that we don't talk about. So it's probably one of the most taboo topics I've ever talked about. But if you as we go into this conversation, I don't see it as taboo at all. I just see it as humans being humans. Yeah, we're not going to get as taboo as possible, but it's the most uncomfortable conversation. So we're going to talk about what bratting actually is, what the psychology is underneath it, the erotic and spiritual dimensions of it, like the subconscious erotic play in it. And I'm going to give you a quiz to see how much of a brat you are, because you're a brat too. I'm being bratty to you, telling you that. And then why your brat why your brat energy is intelligence, not a flaw. And so a brat is usually misconceived. There's a misconception around it. It's not a bad lover. It's not being somebody who's a bad submissive. A lot of times brats are seen as bad submissives. If you don't know what a submissive is, that's fine. But if you do, now you know. They're not difficult. A lot of people label a brat as difficult. There's a difference between being a brat and being a a-hole. I'm not giving you, as this permission slip of the brat journey goes, I'm not saying it's okay to be disrespectful, mean, rude, cruel, horrible, right? There's a line and you don't want to cross it. A lot of times the brat tendencies are labeled as bad or not okay because a lot of times the louder ones are seen the most or they're the most frustrated. The reason I'm telling you about this is I promise you've had challenges in your relationship dynamics with people because of bratting. I promise you this. I see it everywhere. I see brats all around me all the time because I see through this lens. And you get to play with them. You get to have fun with them. You get to like banter with them. And there's an important time to put boundaries down, right? The real definition is a brat is somebody who resists playfully. They'll resist following rules. They'll resist doing what you say. They'll resist any sort of dynamic of control or guidance, but with play involved. So it's a fun experience. Usually it should be. This is what is. They tease deliberately and they challenge as a form of connection. Their challenges are a way for them to be like, hey, pay attention to me. I want attention. The key word with this I'm going to bring in to this conversation that is not brought into this conversation is this is done intentionally. Whether it is conscious or unconscious. There are different, we can go into the unconscious realms, but there's conscious play and then there's the unconscious responses, right? So that's like you're aware of it or you're not aware of it. What looks like defiance is a bid for something real. When a brat is bratting hard, they're wanting to feel you. They're wanting to connect with you. They're wanting intimacy with you. It's selective obedience, not rebellion. So it lives everywhere, not just in kink at all. I will be talking about kink. Kink is erotic play with humans, usually in a sexual dynamic in the bedroom with clear structures and boundaries and exploration and very taboo. Okay, right? So it lives in that umbrella of kink, and I don't think it is at all. This is kind of why I'm doing this episode right now. I don't think it lives in kink at all. I think it lives in our every single day life, and we all have it. And so having a relationship with the brat within us, I think is really important. So it is when you ask somebody and they say, I don't know, when you actually do know. It is moving out of reach to see if somebody comes closer to you. It is the nickname that says everything without saying anything. It is the oops when it was actually not an accident, right? When you do something deliberately and pretend like it was an accident. There's skills to being a brat. I think if I'm going to be honest, and I don't know, maybe you guys can message me or make a comment on the podcast, but or send me a message on Instagram. Which my Instagram's Rose Heartsong, by the way. And this is KXFM, Laguna Beach Community Radio. And you are listening to Sex Ritual Radio with Rose Heartsong. I'm live every single Sunday at 9 p.m. on the radio. And then it goes up on podcast everywhere. This is what I was about to say. What I was about to say is that I believe that I'm feeling edgy right now saying this. This is an edge for me, which has been on the radio. It's not really been an edge that often. And also, this is an edge. I'm just bratting you guys to tell you this. I believe that in a psychological perspective, a brat is developed through navigating trauma in their life. So the bigger the trauma, the bigger the brat. That is my belief. Y'all can fight with me about it. I don't care. Challenge me. Let's go. Let's have a conversation. I'm so available for that. And also, real bratting requires reading people. It has open energy versus closed energy. There is a game with this, being open versus closing. It is a trust practice. Bratting is testing to see if you're available to hold them, right? And they know when to push and they know when to pivot. They know when they're playing the game, and it's on the unhealthy realm of bratting, because brats can be unhealthy. On the unhealthy realm of the brats, it can be toxic and it can create trauma. I'm not saying it's healthy or necessary. I'm saying it's important to understand your brat and work with it, which I will go into in this episode. I promise. The brats who do this well are some of the most attuned people in the room. Okay, so brats are, and I think they're attuned, and I think they're well brats are because they've learned to survive through trauma. So bratting is a test of trust. It is testing you to say, can you hold me? Not hold me down or control me, but can you hold my wildness? Are you capable of holding the full spectrum of who I am? And then they will touch and they'll poke and they'll challenge and they'll be like, really, can you do it? Can you stay present when I push? Can you stay rooted when I create chaos? Or will you wilt? Will you collapse? Will you not be able to hold my chaos and my wildness and my freedom and my insecurities and my trauma? Really, can you hold me in my trauma? And so the aspect of the nervous system is provocation is done right is a bid for co-regulation. When somebody's being bratty, they are asking for you to co-regulate with them. A brat pokes to feel the other person land. Hey, are you there? Hey, do you got me? I'm gonna challenge you. Do you got me? When the other person stays steady, that steadiness is safety. When the other person stays steady, when a brat pokes and challenges and asks you to hold them, if you hold them and you stay steady, then they feel in their body, they can land. When the other person stays steady, that steadiness is the safety, right? This is the body finding safety through challenges rather than compliance, that's an interesting one. Finding when somebody's really wanting safety through steadiness versus compliance. I think that little thing is like the biggest challenge we're having in relationships today in the world right now. So I'm going to say it again. This is the body finding safety through challenge rather than compliance. Most people are challenging each other and the other person is complying, shutting down, numbing, walking away instead of saying, hey, I'm here and I freaking got you and I ain't going anywhere and I love you and I'm going to be with you and I'm going to hold you through your wildness and your chaos. And that is love. And I'm not talking about self-destruction of the relationship. There needs to be boundaries, clear, specific, grounded, anchored boundaries, right? In the kink community, in the BDSM community, the reason I love that community so deeply, and you should too, is because they teach clear, specific, detailed boundaries around erotic exploration. There's nowhere in the world that talks so specifically and so detailed and so held and contained. And yet it is the world that most people are so scared of. I am more scared of people on Tinder swiping and having sex with people that they don't know, not asking them their STI status, not using condoms, not using lube, not using education, not communicating their desires, needs, wants, not asking for aftercare. That is so much more traumatic to the nervous system than being in the kink community and to be in the exploration of these experiences. So I want to challenge your resistance to kink and ask you to open up and to explore and to talk and have these deep, vulnerable, intimate conversations that are so incredibly needed right now. So take a deep breath because that was a big challenge. Let's take a deep breath together, okay? This is the body finding safety through challenge rather than compliance. There's deep vulnerability underneath it. Underneath bratting, there is a vulnerability. The most unbothered brat is often the one who needs the most proof that they won't be dropped. To push is the question. The steadiness of the response is the answer. I'm going to say that again because these are so good. Ooh. To The push is the question. The push is, do you got me? Are you going to hold me? Are you going to run away? Are you going to collapse? Are you going to run in fear? Do you got this? And the steadiness of I got you is the response of the response is the answer. All right. There's a couple of styles of brattiness, okay? We're going to go into out of the psychological deep dive that we went into and into the brat styles. By the way, I want you to know I took all these notes from a workshop at DomCon that I went to, and the person who put on the event, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember their name, his name. I think he goes by he, maybe, I believe. Incredible. It was, I'm going to have to find it before we get off of here. I will get his name and I will tag him in here. So I got a lot of these notes from his workshop. I am not owning them as myself. I do want to say, though, before I took the workshop, I have been teaching people about bratting, and a lot of the things he said, he just helped me refine it. And also, the title of his workshop is Everybody's a Little Bit of a Brat, and I always say that. We gone hand in hand. I can't. Anyway, so this I learned through... Let me just ask the AI, because the AI knows his name. Give me a moment, because I want to put honor where honor is due. Okay, what is the name of the person who put on this workshop? So I'm gonna ask the AI, and the AI is, Scratch. Scratch said that's who. They go by Scratch. So Scratch is the one who taught me this. All right, we're going to go back to the brat styles. I just want to give Scratch credit because I didn't learn. I learned this yesterday at DomCon. All right, so there's the Playful. The Playful teases to make you laugh or chase, wants the game to feel light and fun. Think about these if you feel like you're bratty or a brat. By the way, I'm going to have a game that I got from Scratch, totally using his incredible information in here. So not taking credit for it. And also, you're going to find what percentage of brat you are. So thinking about yourself as I go through this. Playful, as I said, teases to make you laugh or chase, wants the game to feel light and fun. Sassy, words and tone, pushes buttons with charm. Confidence is the weapon. The innocent pretends to not know what they're doing. Pause, right? They pretend like they don't know what they're doing, acting all innocent. Attention seeking, acts out to stay seen, needs visibility to feel seen. This is the one who has roots that are worth understanding. This person probably is the one I was talking about with the deepest trauma. Clever, finds every loophole, every technicality, every time while looking you dead in the eyes. The flirty, provocative through desire rather than defiance. Warmth wrapped around a test. The silent, a look, a pause, a raised eyebrow that communicates everything without a single word. They don't say anything. They just look at you and you're like, ugh, I'm going to. Provocative, pushes emotional edges just to feel a real reaction. Wants to know you're actually live in there. So this is the person who tests to see if you actually care and wants to get a reaction out of you. Clumsy, the one who acts like they forget everything or pretends to didn't realize, or plausible deniability is the entire strategy. Or the mocking, technically complying, but making fun of you the whole time, right? These aren't fixed. You move through them. It's not like you're one or not. We probably all have had moments of this brattiness. And you may move through several depending on the day or the person or the dynamic that you're in, the person that you're in a relationship with, whether it be erotic or not. They're going to extract different energy outside of you. Pay attention to which one shows up the most and ask yourself what it's actually looking for. Because a lot of times these dynamics are needs that aren't being met or that you're desiring to be met. And the question is, are you asking for these needs to be met, right? All right. So whether it is, okay, so this is a skill. Bratting is a skill. It's a survival mechanism. It's I need to be seen. I want to be loved. Pay attention to me. Whether it's showing up in a relationship, a dynamic, or your own body, bratting is a sophisticated intelligence. The brat knows how to surface what's real without asking for it directly. And that requires reading another person. So to get underneath, a brat's like goal is to get underneath somebody's skin in one way or another. And they usually do it in a playful, joking way. So they're reading the energy. They're paying attention. They're smart. They really are smart. It requires reading the person, their timing, their nervous system, what makes them lean in versus what shuts down. This is erotic attention intelligence, and it belongs in every intimate context, not just kink. So this is something that I somehow don't know how. I do actually. Sorry, I'm not. See, look at me being a brat on you, saying I don't know. I do know. I'm a brat because I grew up with a single mom, and I didn't have a dad taking care of me, and I lived in a van, and I lived a lot of times on the streets. I was homeless on food stamps, and I was in a lot of survival mode, and I learned to be kind of like my mom's husband or wife. The energetics of it, like taking care of certain things, like doing all the laundry and washing all the dishes and keeping the floors clean and just keeping life together when she was working. And so I learned to survive. I learned a lot of survival skills. And those survival skills taught me how to read people. And that reading of people was what makes me such a freaking incredible coach, because I can see in their face and in their eyes and in their tone and their body language what is actually happening that they're not saying. And then I can call it forward without making them feel shame for it. And I got that because I got really good at learning how to read people. And I got good at learning how to read people because I was homeless on the streets and I needed to learn to survive. Right? It's a survival mechanism. So the more the person had trauma in their life, the more they have had to learn how to survive. And then the more they're testing you to say, hey, do you got me? Wow, this is a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. I'm not going to lie. This is a powerful episode. Wow. Thanks for being on this intimate, deep dive journey with me. I really appreciate it. So the way that the brat lives in the body is the smirk held a beat too long, right? The deliberate pause before answering, moving just out of reach, and watching to see what happens. Going soft and pulling back to see if they notice. This one I think happens a lot with females. No, all humans do this. I apologize. All humans do this. They ask for something, their needs aren't met, and then they retreat and run away, saying, hey, are you going to pay attention? Or are you going to actually see that I'm retreating? Your body is fluent in brat whether you've named it or not, right? Our nervous systems have this tendency to move through us. So somebody who's receiving the brat, if you're the receiving brat in a kink dynamic and the BDSM world, this would be considered a brat tamer, which I don't really like because it's implying that a brat needs to be tamed. And honestly, I don't think a brat needs to be tamed. A brat needs to be contained. And I think maybe we should call it a brat container. I just made that up. We're going to change it from a brat tamer to a brat container. Are you in with me on this one? So in any dynamic, romantic, erotic, relationship, your job is to not perform steadiness. This is where you're going to go wrong. You cannot perform steadiness because a brat will know. They're going to feel it in their nervous systems, okay? All right. Your job is to actually be rooted enough that when somebody tests your ground, you don't move. Not rigid, rooted. There is a difference. The brat moves. Oh gosh, I can't remember. I can't read what I wrote. I'm just going to be honest. So the brat loses its, here we go. The brat loses its charge when the other person wilts, not because the brat won, but because when they were actually looking for wasn't there. So basically, if they're looking for that steadiness and the steadiness isn't there, then they collapse. Then they're like, that charge goes away and then they get uninterested. So the spiritual level underneath is the brat is testing for presence. Full embodied can't be faked presence. And y'all, I'm sorry. I'm going to call the men out right now. I really am. I don't like to do this. I like to do it in my coaching. I call it women and men. But I'm going to call you out right now. Y'all are kind of not doing so good these days in being present and embodied and full embodied can't be faked presence. Really highly recommend working on this. This is the most sexy thing a man can do. The full embodied can't be faked presence is going to be the hottest thing ever, and a brat will submit to that easily. They're asking if you're actually here, not managing me, not performing a dom role or a controlling role, and you're disconnected and not in your body and not in your heart and not in your soul and not in your anchored energy. You're just wanting to extract from me sex. A brat's not going to want to be extracted just for sex. They're going to want to feel your presence and your safety. Are you actually here, not managing me, not performing a role? Are you here with me, meeting me where I am? This is not a kink dynamic. This is what every human being is asking in every relationship they are in. I'm not giving myself to somebody who isn't here. This is what is not working in relationship dynamics right now. This is not what is working. It's not working. It's not working in the world. This is not working because people are disconnected. They're on their phones. They're scrolling. They're not in their bodies. They're disassociating. They're like in their heads all the time. They're in their fear. They're not present. And this presence is causing issues with intimacy. Where in your life are you performing compliance that you don't actually feel? Where in your relationships, your body or desire, are you being good for something that has not earned it? Where are you submitting to somebody who hasn't earned that submission? I've been on dating websites and I'm very clear that I'm kink friendly and I'm interested in some sort of DS dynamic of some sort. I'm not going to tell you everything right now, but and I've had men try to dom me on a freaking dating website before they've even had a conversation or taken me on a date. And I'm like, you do not earn my submission. You haven't earned it. You haven't proven to me that you are capable of holding me. Submission is deep honor. It's a deep devotion. And unless you can show me that you can hold me and protect me and keep me safe, I am not going to submit to you. You did not work for that. I'm sorry, but to be a dominant, you have to work and earn trust and hold a container and hold this presence. What would it look like to let part of you that knows better ask its real question, right? So going back to where are you being good for something or someone that hasn't earned it? What would it look like to let that part of you that knows better ask a real question? When you're not being good, when you're like, how would you be able to challenge somebody in a healthy dynamic, right? Healthy, not challenge in a toxic way, but ask a real question. Be like, hey, this is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I desire. I would love for you to meet me in that way. I gotta calm it. That's not easy. What I'm asking you to do is not easy. I just want to, it's vulnerable and it's real and it's authentic and it's challenging. And I'm challenged with these things. I'm teaching you this, but I'm teaching myself it as I teach you. They say we learn the most that we need. We teach what we need to learn most. And I've been in relationship dynamics when I've let men abuse me and I've let men extract from me and I've let my power be drained from the dynamic, and I got angry at him, but I still stayed. And that's on me, not on him. I allowed it and I didn't create these solid boundaries and I didn't hold them. And so that's really important to look at. Okay, so the consent and responsibility piece of the conversation. With it, whether this is showing up in your everyday life or in intentional erotic dynamics, this brat, what did I say? We're not doing a brat tamer, we're doing a brat container. I love it, brat containership. Consent is the foundation, right? You can never get somebody to do something that they don't agree to. If you do control somebody into something that they didn't agree to, that is abuse. Not consent is the highest priority with this, right? That is the foundation of a healthy container. Bratting is playing with a container, and that container has to be built first. You can't brat someone you don't know. You can't have a brat relationship with somebody you don't know. Getting to know a person is the process of getting that trust and learning that. In relationships, what lands as playful versus what lands getting to know. So these are like the consent aspects and the containership, right? Is getting to know somebody is the process of creating the container. In a sexual relationship, or any sort of relationship really, because you could have this with a friendship, you have to know what lands as playful, which is lands as it creates an actual wound, because a brat is not here to be bratty to create trauma, right? It's been done. It happens. I'm not saying that's okay, but it's a reality, and I'm not saying you should do that. So understanding where boundaries are and how much you can test those boundaries is important, because the brat innately is a boundary tester, but they kind of play with the boundary versus cross the boundary. Where was I? This is Sex Ritual Radio with Rose Heartsong, and I'm here every single Sunday at 9 p.m. on KXFM, Laguna's community radio. So you need to have it intentional. We're talking about how to create a container within bratting in a kink dynamic. We're talking about brats. So an intentional dynamic, it's negotiation, explicit negotiation. What's in, what's out, what the edges are. So what's a full yes, what's a full no, and where is that gray area you can kind of dance in. If you want to push the line, the usual line, so if there's a line that you know to cross and you want to push on it, say so first, right? So if you're going to be playing in those dynamics, you can say it playfully and fun, but you got to communicate that. Do not blow through it. Yeah, make sure that everything's grounded before you really challenge these boundaries, and make sure you don't cross a boundary that is going to create the trauma. In bratting, in an erotic expression in sex, you need to have safe words. You can also have safe words outside of sex too. If you're bratting too hard, you can be clear like, hey, you got to go sit in the corner and take a time out because you're being a little bit too disrespectful right now. But you do know how to have safe words. The easiest way to have a safe words are the stoplight system. If you have your own, you can, but the stoplight system is red, yellow, green. Green is go. Yellow is, hey, let's check in, slow down. And red is like full stop, like no questions asked. We're done in this dynamic. So this is a piece that y'all vanilla people need to implement into your life, okay? Is safe words, because it needs to be done. No needs to be celebrated more. And red needs to be like respected, really. The sass does not exempt anyone from stopping ever. Aftercare matters here too. Bratting stirs up real things, and they need to be tended to each other after, right? Because the brat is poking. The person who is the brat container needs to clarify what they need aftercare for an erotic expression and the brat. So you need to really communicate. If we're going to test these boundaries here, what kind of support do I need afterwards? Most critical skill in any context is reading energy. So open energy is engaged, present, leaning in, matching your tone, feeling alive, connected. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It blows my mind, y'all. How many times a couple can be married for 30 years and they have no idea how to read their partner's energy at all. They might be saying verbally yes, but their body is closed. Their eyes are down. They're looking at the floor. They're not engaged. They're not involved at all. And their whole body is a no. And we don't learn this. Like, why aren't we learning this in preschool and elementary school? We need to be learning to read the energy of a person's body. Tony Robbins says 7% of our language in communication is words. I think it's 33% is tone, and then 60% is body language. Why are we not studying body language in high school and elementary school and middle school and all the schools in college? Like, why are these not advanced classes? Because this is so important in our reality to be studying. All right, so open energy means engaged, present, leaning in, matching your tone, feeling alive. Closed energy is shrinking, pulling back. Flat effect, like neutral tone, flat tone, tension without electricity. There is like a pulling back and restricted energy, right? They care more about, you got to care more about the person than the brattiness. The brattiness needs to be a dance, if that makes sense. The brat who reads the room gets to keep playing the game. When you learn how to read people, the one who doesn't gives the rest of us a bad name. Really, you guys, okay, if there's two things I can say is y'all are brats and learn to read people's body language. It's so important. The way that their eyes move. Even if eyes are closed, you can read body language. It is so clear to me because I've been studying it for so long. But start reading your own body language, looking at yourself in the mirror and show yourself happy and show yourself sad and like just witness it. Start paying attention to people. Stop trying to speak and start listening and paying attention because it's really freaking powerful. All right, so I got a quiz for you. Brat quiz. Are you ready? What percentage of brat are you? Okay. I'm going to list out a long list of the elements of a brat, and I would like for you to count on your phone, your finger. You can write a note somewhere, wherever. Just keep track. I'm going to speak a lot of them out. And then I want you to know what percentage of brat you are. Okay. These are brat tendencies. You roll your eyes at somebody who thought they were in charge, right? When somebody's in charge and you roll their eyes at them. Said, make me out loud or in your head. Moved just out of reach on purpose to see what they do. Gave someone a nickname they didn't ask for but couldn't argue with. Sent a risky text instead of a real answer. Interrupted somebody mid-instruction with a joke. Took just long enough to respond to make a point. Argued just to hear because I said so. That one's funny. Pretended not to know a rule you knew perfectly well. Got in trouble on purpose and felt absolutely no remorse for it. Used your eyes, your face, or your energy to get out of something. Used your cuteness or your seductivity to get out of something. I did this once with a police officer. Wow, I bratted a police officer. That's good to know. Said yes while your whole body said absolutely not. I don't like that one, actually. I'm not going to lie. Sent a one-word response specifically to provoke. Used your sweetness as a weapon intentionally. And smirked when you were supposed to be sorry. Tested a limit just to see if anyone would actually hold it. That one I think happens all the time. Laughed exactly the wrong moment. I know a lot of people who do this. This one actually happens a lot when people are uncomfortable. And what is it? Stayed quiet on purpose to see if somebody would come find you. That's a bratty move for sure. Got exactly what you wanted by being completely impossible. Said oops, knowing it was not an accident. So here's your scale. Here's your quiz, okay? If you had 1 to 4 of these, you're mildly mischievous. 5 to 7 of them, you're a playful instigator. 9 to 12, you are a certified smart A. I can't say the word on the radio. 13 to 16, you are a weaponized brat energy. All right. So I'd love to know your number. You should message me on Instagram, Rose Heartsong, so I know how bratty you actually are. I want to know what tier you're in. So anyways, the brat in you is not a problem to fix. When I think a lot about brats in the kink community, I think a lot of doms are frustrated with brats and they want to fix them and make them submissive. But brats they're not there to be fixed. They're not a problem to be fixed. They're a fun dynamic to play with. Okay, as a brat container, aka tamer, aka container, y'all love brats. Let's gotta be real here. You love the spiciness and the feistiness and the fun and the challenge and the unpredictability and the wildness. A lot of guys, they don't know that their woman is brat because outside of the kink dynamic, they don't understand that this is the label. And they get so frustrated with these women over time. The wild ones, the fun ones, the creative ones, the out-of-box ones, the erotically embodied ones. And then they get frustrated with their wildness. And that's what you're attracted to. That's what you really like. You like being on your toes on this one. Brat has learned very early that direct vulnerability wasn't always safe. So you have to remember that. So it got clever, right? Because direct vulnerability wasn't safe. Cleverness came in. They got playful. They pushed first to see what came back before giving anything real. It's not a dysfunction. It's an intelligence your body developed to protect something super precious, right? To be able to get vulnerable with a brat is a really big honor. This is why understanding your brat matters beyond the bedroom. And the way that you test safety is a conversation the same way you test intimacy. So if you're a brat, you do need to have honest conversations and create clear containers, right? It's the healthiest way to have any relationship. And also, the way you withhold in a relationship is the way you withhold in your body. And so it's like I can track somebody's body and see how good in bed they are based on how they breathe, how in their body they are, how in their head they are. And you can see it. Like when you start learning to see people and track them, you can see when people live in their heads. Like it's obvious. They don't even have to say anything. And when you understand your pattern, you can get to choose it consciously instead of it running you. Really, this is like the core of everything that I teach and everything that I talk about. Is your sexual energy running you? Or are you running your sexual energy, right? Bratting is a form of this. Are you being run by the brat within you and self-sabotaging everything in your life and being chaotic? Or are you using your brat to create more play and desire and erotic expression, right? The invitation is to use it with intention. To know what you're actually asking when you push, being very clear about it, Be willing to receive the answer when it comes back, getting feedback, getting clarity, and tend to the softness underneath the sass. It deserves care too, right? So like the sass can be this kind of wall that we build up, and that underneath it is this beautiful, incredible, tender, soft version of you. And are you going to be brave enough to show that to somebody in the world? Because it takes a lot to do that. And you can give it to yourself too and show it to yourself. So the brat is a feature within you, and it's a feature of desire, of intimacy, of being fully alive human being who wants to be met. Don't stand down. Learn to use it. Learn to play with it. Learn to contain it. Be the container instead of the tamer. Learn to all of the different dynamics of this brattiness it's fun to play with. It's an adventure, and it creates tension, right? And tension creates passion. And so how can you play with this energy while also being respectful? Because I'm not telling you to disrespect anyone. I hope you understand a little bit more about what a brat is from this dynamic or this conversation. And I'm super incredibly grateful to have you guys here. This is Sex Ritual Radio with Rose Heartsong. And I just want to say, if this episode cracks something open and you want to go deeper, this is the work that I do. And I work with people one-on-one to help you understand what's actually driving your patterns when it comes to self-sabotage and erotic play and expression and shutdown and vulnerability and all these different things. And so you should go over to roseheartsong.com. I am to do a complimentary consultation. It would be an honor to work with you and talk to you soon. I hope you have a beautiful night.
I'm going to be real with you. I am so over sex being a taboo topic that we talk about. I am ready for conscious sexuality, spiritual sexuality to be a conversation in the room. I have been in so many rooms full of people. I share that I'm a sex coach, and people get awkward and shrink and get small around me. And I am so ready for that to be done. And it starts with you. In order to make this conversation bigger, this podcast gets to grow. In 2026, I am committed to impacting 100,000 people's lives with this, and I need your help. So would you please subscribe, leave a comment, share it on your Instagram story, or text it to a friend. It would mean the world to me, and I will see you next week.